Welcome back to the Pittsburgh Sports Saviors. It is Tuesday night, November 19th, about 7:45 p.m. Lee, how you been? How you doing?
I'm doing all right. I've been all right. How about yourself, bud?
Pretty good here. Figure we'll start off going into the Ravens game, talking a little bit of Ravens, and move on to the Browns if that's cool with you.
Yeah, sounds good.
So the Steelers were able to win Sunday afternoon, or Sunday, yeah, I guess it's afternoon, right?
Yeah,
1 o'clock, 18-16 over the Baltimore Ravens. Moved to 8-2 in the division. Gain another game on the Ravens in the standings. Now they're up a game and a half at this point. Everything's looking pretty sunshine and rainbows for the Steelers right now. Wouldn't you agree?
yeah, everything's looking good. It's like order has been restored in the AFC North to where the Steelers are atop of the AFC North, like we're used to seeing. A lot of doubters saying that the Steelers were going to be at a very low point in the season right now with their record, and the fact that they're 8-2 right now, it's just looking wonderful for them.
Yeah, it's a beautiful place to be.
Mm-hmm.
I don't think we could call this win beautiful. It was an ugly win,
Yeah,
but they ended up with 18 points from Chris Boswell's leg, 6 field goals, 6 for 6 on the day, compared to kicking for the Ravens, which Justin Tucker, arguably the best kicker of all time, missed 2 kicks of his own.
mm-hmm.
Steelers end up winning the game, like I said, 18-6. Decent performance by Russell Wilson here, 23 of 36, 205, threw 1 interception, was sacked 4 times, which was pretty rough to watch. Rushing game, they were able to get 122 yards in total. It's 18 for 63 from Harris, 9 of 41 from Warren. George Pickens had 8 catches for 89 yards. Pretty much the only receiver that did anything of worth, really, if you're looking at these stats.
Yeah.
Washington had a solid 2 for 42 out of the tight end spot. But other than that, receiver-wise, you're looking at Skoranek, 1 for 4. And then running back, Harris, 4 for 30. Warren, 4 for 27. Freiermuth, 2 of 14. But it was, like I said, it was an ugly win, but it was a win nonetheless. And now the Steelers are in a beautiful spot. I really look forward to seeing where they're going to go. But do you want to break down some of the overall team stats from the game?
Yeah, I can do that. Yeah, again, final score, Steelers 18, Ravens 16. Total yards, Ravens had 329 and the Steelers had 303. Pass yards, Ravens had 205, Steelers had 181. Rush yards were about the same. Ravens had 124, Steelers had 122. Yards per play, Ravens had 6.1 yards per play, and the Steelers only had 4.1 yards per play. First downs were about the same. Ravens had 16 first downs. Steelers had 18 first downs. Third down efficiency was pretty poor for both teams. 4 for 11 for the Ravens and 4 for 16 for the Steelers. It wasn't really that good. Fourth down efficiency, the Ravens did not go for it, and the Steelers were 0 for 1 on fourth down. Total plays, Ravens had 54. The Steelers had 74, which is just crazy that they had 20 more plays during that game. Like you said earlier, Ravens had 4 sacks on Russell Wilson. The Steelers only had 2 on Lamar Jackson. Each team punted the ball 4 times. Penalty yards, Ravens had 12 for 80, and the Steelers had 7 for 45. For turnovers, Ravens fumbled the ball twice. We did not fumble. And there was 1 interception thrown by each team. And time of possession, which is just crazy here. Ravens had 23 minutes and 38 seconds. The Steelers 36 minutes and 22 seconds. So they definitely held on to the ball a lot longer. And usually if you hold on to the ball a lot longer, you win, and you make fewer mistakes with turnovers and things like that, which the Steelers only had that 1 interception that was thrown. But other than that, it was, like you said, it was just an all defensive game. I was pretty high on what my predicted score was, but I almost kind of forgot about how defensively these two teams are and how much they hate each other and how these games usually go. So that is the stats for the game.
Yeah, I overshot a little bit too. I think mine was 25-21, so I overshot it for sure. Looking at that, like you were saying, I think time of possession is a big thing there. Penalties is another big thing here. 12 of 80 for the Ravens, like you were saying. I also think the big story coming away from this game is how the Steelers played Lamar Jackson again. He's now 1-4 in his career against the Steelers. He ended up having 16 to 33. That's under 50%. 207 yards, one TD, one interception. The two sacks that you mentioned. I mean, this is a guy who's an MVP against everyone else, and against the Steelers, he's just another guy. He's Kenny Pickett.
Yeah. Yeah.
He's a regular guy. I mean, he did have some more rushing this game, 4 for 46, but even that, 46 yards, if you can get that from Lamar Jackson as an opponent, you're going to be excited. That's a total of 253 yards. I just, the Steelers got a script. They know what they're doing against him, and I think that's a huge thing for them.
Yeah, like Mike Tomlin said in that last post game we talked to him, and yeah, they have a game plan, and they have the Ravens number and Lamar Jackson's number. I mean, he has not been able to, efficiently have a decent game against the Steelers. And the Steelers just know what they're doing against mobile quarterbacks. I mean, yeah, Lamar Jackson had a few spurts and there's, like that throughout the game, but it just, they have their number. Like you said, the time of possession, the turnovers, the penalty yards, the yards during the game and things like that. It kind of just shows and just how the play style went and things like that. I mean, although the Ravens had a little bit more, yardage and more, other statistical things, they just still could not beat the Steelers. And I think we've won 8 of last 9 or 8 of last 10, something like that against them. So
it's an impressive stretch for sure.
Yeah. So they know what they're doing against the Ravens.
Yeah, and it wasn't just Lamar today. Derrick Henry ended up 13 for 65, but that included a 31-yard run. So other than that one run, he was 12 carries for 34 yards, which is against the leading rusher in the league.
Yeah.
Surprisingly, they rushed the ball only 19 times throughout the game. This is a game where it's 18-6. Even late, all it took was a touchdown from the Ravens to get them back in it. And they couldn't get it until the very end there, and they failed on the 2-point conversion, which was an awesome stop on that play too. I figured we should just go into Mike Tomlin, what his thoughts were on the game, and then bounce off of him.
Sounds good.
Under normal circumstances, I start with a analysis of the video of our last performance, but to be completely transparent with you, man, I have not watched a snap of it. On a short week, man, my attention needs to turn to Cleveland. And so my assessing of the game really is just kind of from memory conversations and, reading the game book and seeing some things on highlights and so forth.
So he's done what you did this week, huh, Lee?
Yeah.
Unfortunately, you weren't able to watch live, but you were able to go back and watch some highlights. And you seem to be on the same pace as Mike Tomlin.
Yeah.
Obviously, go ahead.
No, I was gonna say he looks normal today with the hat on, so no issue there. But he comes out the gate. It's just hilarious. It's the first thing that I didn't even watch the game. I didn't even watch the highlights. But I don't even care. We're worried about Cleveland right now. That's hilarious.
He's that one student that is just willing to say he didn't do the homework, he didn't do the reading assignment, just come straight out, which sometimes can work for you. But it makes sense though. With the short week to go into Cleveland first, but I figured I'd leave that in just to get a little laugh out of it.
Yeah, that was pretty good.
As I mentioned after the game, man, I was really excited about the efforts of the guys. I think there's growth associated in being in games like that and persevering and doing what is required to win. It's growth for the collective. It's growth in not only belief in themselves, but each other and what it is that we're doing. And I think it just further positions you for appropriate performance with challenges that lie ahead. And so it was productive from that standpoint. Obviously, it wasn't a perfect effort, but I'm appreciative of it. As I mentioned post-game, man, what can you say about Chris Boswell in 2024 that hadn't been written or said? He's been everything that we need him to be. He is performing at an extremely high level. We're extremely comfortable in calling upon him in just about any circumstances. It's just been special. And to do what he's done, obviously, with a change at holder in the middle of the thing is doubly impressive. And so I'd be remiss if I didn't start first with his contributions and, Corliss not only as a punter but as a holder. just being solid in the specialist form of play. That collective in particular has been rock solid for us. Can't say enough about what Corliss has been doing for us in terms of flipping the field as well. The field position component.
Before he goes into further about the field position, I think that's something we really haven't talked about is Waitman has just come in as a punter and been awesome. We haven't talked about him because that's what you want from a punter. You shouldn't be talking about the punter, but he's come in and just been a pro the whole time. Going back to Boswell, he had kicks of 52 yards, 57 yards. Let me see what else we had. There was a 36, a 27 yarder. Another 50-yarder there. So just impressive by him, like he was saying there. I think both the kickers have been awesome this year. What are your thoughts?
Yeah, I mean, first off with the punter, I mean, just to come in and fill some shoes and to come in there and be able to punt and, not really have too many mistakes with the punting. I mean, he's been phenomenal for the for the special teams. And then, I mean, what can you say about the Wizard of Oz? I mean, he's just phenomenal. I think I saw a stat that he's the only kicker in NFL history to have 3 or more games of 6 field goals made in a game. I think I saw something like that. So it's just, I mean, it's impressive what he's done, with his resume. I mean, I remember when he first started off with the team and it was like, it didn't look too well, but he has definitely improved and have become a pro kicker. And I'm glad he's on the team because without him, I don't know where our record would be with some of these games that we've been in.
Yeah, the Steelers are 2-0 without scoring a touchdown this year, and I think the rest of the league's either 1-19 or 4-19.
Wow.
Something crazy.
Wow.
That I picked up on this week looking around. But yeah, it's crazy. Yeah, he's going to talk about field position. I'm sure it'll be a very insightful conversation here.
It is always going to be significant when you're in games like that, and it was not only in terms of what Corliss did or what Boz was able to do from great distances in terms of securing points for us, but the turnover game I thought was significant. We got turnovers and we provided the offense the short field a couple of times, and that's big in a game like that. Obviously, we didn't perform well.
That is one thing I didn't mention. The 2 fumbles, the interception were all big time plays.
Yeah,
the fumble and then the half was really big to get a field goal there at the end to make it 9-7. The defense keeps making plays, and especially we've talked about the second half scoring in the last podcast. It's just been so solid, and this is a team with the Baltimore that was averaging over 30 points per game, and they held them to 16.
Yeah, I mean, that just goes to show what this defense has been doing. I mean, like you said, you brought it up, I think, during the last podcast of when we did that little game of, where they've been holding teams defensively with points and yards and things like that in the second half of games and things like that. And be able to get the turnovers that they did. I think I saw a stat that that was like Derrick Henry's first fumble and like so many, I think it was like over 300 or 400 snaps that he had got or something. It was just like, that's crazy that, they made him fumble, and they kind of had his number as well during that game. But this defense has definitely stepped it up and been able to, make plays where they need to be made, in order to put themselves ahead in games like this.
Yeah.
Productive from that standpoint, obviously, to work on, but it's good to do that with a W. But it's also important that we acknowledge the talents and the expertise of the Ravens. We've been in a bunch of games like that with those guys. It's always back and forth. There's always going to be some components of the game that are troublesome to you from a performance standpoint, but that's just the nature of being in 5-star matchups. And so we'll grow from it. We'll grow with the W as we lean in on this next outing. And obviously this next outing is a really significant one. When you have back-to-back division games, it is significant, but also to have back-to-back division games and the second one be on a short week on the road, man, that has our attention and urgency.
So 2 games in the division in 5 days. First one coming against the Ravens at home. Tough matchup for sure. They ended up pulling it out, like you said. You got to give credit to the Ravens and how great they've been all year, but the Steelers were still able to win this game. So any final thoughts on Ravens before we go on to the Browns?
Yeah, I mean, they are a very talented team. Lamar Jackson and Derrick Henry have been putting up, just MVP numbers for both of them for their team. And like you said, they have been like probably the number one offense, in scoring wise and just yardage and especially with rushing for, this season. And just the fact that the Steelers were able to hold them to only 16 points and, to under 400 total yards and be able to get 3 turnovers on them and, be able to, have about 13 minutes up on them on time possession is just impressive for what they were able to do in this game. So, it's a great AFC division, win right there to help us, secure a lead right now. Like Mike Thomas said, now we're on to this short week with Cleveland coming up next.
Yep, exactly. Here we go. I think he might talk about injuries, and then I'm going to Cleveland, but it might be the opposite. We'll see what he has to say here.
From a lot of perspectives, obviously we got to make really good decisions this week about strategy, what to run, what not to run, what can we perform on a limited amount of physical repetitions, what do we need to, take a calculated risk in terms of running on a limited amount of physical repetitions. I just think that that's always the case on Thursday. We don't default to, base menus and things of that nature, particularly when you're playing someone that is familiar with you as Cleveland is with us. It is worth the trouble to ponder what's appropriate to run and what's not. How innovative can we be? How expansive can our menus be? And press the envelope in that direction. And so we got some hardcore decisions there. You also got some hardcore decisions about how you work. What's the nature of your work? Are they walkthroughs? Are they run-throughs? On a limited amount of preparation time on a short week, what does that look like? And you manage the balancing act of getting them in the stadium physically prepared while at the same time preserving them, acknowledging that they were in a significant physical football game yesterday. And so we got that decision to make. And then how to.
So I thought that was pretty insightful from him. The Thursday nights have been kind of a thing that you're just used to now at this point, but he went into pretty good depth there about what he goes through mindset-wise coming into a Thursday night game. It was cool to hear from. He still added some of his Tomlins in there, but it was more. Well, there's substance to what he was saying there, right?
Yeah, for sure. I mean, he's definitely a coach that, he's been around for a little while and he kind of knows the game by now at this point. And, he has his whole game plan and he has a way to get his team prepared, ready to go, for these short weeks and, ready for Thursday night games. And so, yeah, I mean, it was just, like you said, it was a little insightful just to listen to what he had to say and how, he gets him and his team ready, for these short weeks and Thursday night games. So, I think he's got it down packed on, how, these short weeks go, playing on Thursday nights, especially with it being a division game.
Yep. I agree.
Best utilize the last 24 hours. We'll go to Cleveland on Wednesday. Oftentimes when you travel on the road, that last 24 hours is loosely organized, not necessarily so on a short week. How we organize that time, how we utilize that time, players and coaches, I think will be significant in terms of determining our readiness. And so those are some of the things that have had my attention as I quickly transition to this prep. On an injury note, hadn't checked in on Alex Highsmith in terms of seeing what his availability might look like. If you press me, I'd probably say he's more out than in, but we'll see where this short week leads us. Like the trajectory of some others, Pruitt. Benton went down in game, but that appears to be a non-issue from yesterday. All the guys that sustained something in game doesn't appear to be an issue moving forward, and so that's exciting. We opened the window for Corey Trice, as you guys know, last week, and he had a good week's work and may be available to us, and so we'll see where that leads us as well. And so we'll manage some of these player availability things and division of labor things, particularly on a short week, how you distribute carries, how you distribute reps in terms of defenders in an effort to keep everyone fresh, I think is critical strategic decisions that have to happen on a short week. I'm not complaining about it by any stretch. Cleveland has to make the same decisions, and so from that standpoint, is very fair.
Yeah, like that last comment there, because a lot of times you'll hear people complaining and blah blah blah. But yeah, it's
Mm-hmm.
same teams, same situation for both teams. Um, Injury wise, you got Highsmith, like he was saying. Other than that, it seems like we're getting some positive news from the injury front. Thoughts on Highsmith or anything else that he had just said there?
Yeah, I mean, it's nice to see that some of these guys are going to be coming back to be able to help contribute on whatever side of the field they're going to be playing on, and he feels pretty good that a lot of these players are coming back. Anybody that was injured this past Sunday, and any other previous injuries over the season, I mean, it seems like we're getting a lot of the team back, and that's pretty good to just help relieve snaps and, give people breathers as, games go on throughout the rest of the season, and potentially into the playoffs.
Yeah, and then he specifically was mentioned about this week being the short week and managing reps even more,
Mm-hmm.
which you always got to do there. So maybe we'll see a little bit more Warren than we have been seeing. Maybe some of the receivers that like Mike Williams didn't do too much on Sunday, but maybe he'll get more snaps today or
Yeah.
not today on Thursday to set him up. So it'll be interesting to see what happens there.
Yeah, for sure.
I think we're going to the Browns now, but we'll see.
Okay. All right.
I'll turn my attention now to Cleveland and talk about some of the challenges of preparing for them. Starting first and foremost with their offense, man, I'm really just trying to get a sense of what does Ken Dorsey as the primary play caller mean? How is it different? What are the challenges for us relative to what we're used to regarding Cleveland? And so that's going to be a challenge. Obviously, we've seen Ken in the past from his time in Buffalo, but these last three games weigh a heck of a lot more than the ones that precede because of the significance of him as the central play caller. Coupled with that, obviously, is Winston in at quarterback, and so we got to familiarize ourselves with that tandem and how they work and what does that mean to their schematics and personality on offense. Obviously, they got some known people that.
Before we go to that, yeah, what are your thoughts there? I mean, we know about Winston. We know who he is at this point. I think,
Yeah.
he's solid enough, but he's gonna turn the ball over. He's gonna get a bunch of yardage. The things you'd expect to see, I guess. Speaking on Dorsey, the last 3 games, he scored 29 points against the Ravens 3 weeks ago. Then they scored 10 against the Chargers, and then only 14 against the Saints in their last 3 games over the last 4 weeks. They're not doing too great under Dorsey, but it's been a rough year for them. The Browns in general, they're 2-8 overall. You thought that you had Watson, you thought you had this big quarterback. He just has not been the guy he was in
Mm-hmm.
Houston. They have Winston in there now. They're in a tough spot, I think, but it is a divisional game, so you never know. But any thoughts on Winston or the coaching changes that they've had to make?
No, I mean, I like you said, we've seen Winston in the past. I mean, we know his style of play and what he does when he's out there, playing on the field as a quarterback. And we've seen the Browns. Of course, we haven't seen them this year yet, but we played the Browns, and I think we have a understanding of their play now. Again, playing against a new coaching coordinator like Dorsey. I mean, it's probably going to be a little bit just different because they never see they probably haven't seen his style of play in a while, but I don't really foresee this as being too much of a challenge for the Steelers. Again, like you said, it is a division game, so this could go either way, but I think that I think they, even with the short week, I think they can kind of have at least a good bit of an understanding of this team with Dorsey and Winston in the quarterback.
Mm-hmm. And someone's about to get the Mr. Jackson treatment here. There you go.
All right.
We have to deal with Mr. Chubb first and foremost. Just got so much respect for his game and his body of work and his capabilities. From an appreciator of football standpoint, man, it's really good to see him back. But from a guy that competes against him this week, obviously, he has our attention. Jerome Ford, I thought.
So first we had Mr. Jackson, now we have Mr. Chubb. I guess it's going to be a new trend for Tomlin. He's going to start giving the all pros in this league some preferential treatment when he's discussing them a little bit, I guess.
Yeah, it seems like it's going to be the new thing. Like you said, this is hilarious. I mean, I mean, it started. Yeah, it started with Lamar Jackson. It started there, and of course, it's hilarious. But now it's just this is going to get even better if he continues this on with whoever like is the main guy on the team. If he's going to call them out like that, I think this is just going to be great. I think it's a great little segment that he's going to start doing if he continues to do this.
Yeah. Do you think he just thought do you think he's going around watching and hearing all the talk about people saying it, or do you think he just knew when he had said it about Lamar, the way the reaction in the room was, that this was going to be a new thing that he could pull off and get a little entertainment going?
Yeah, I think the latter. I think that this was just something he was like, well, I think, this worked the first time. I think I could continue to just do this. I don't think he heard any chatter. And to be honest, I don't think he even cares about it. I think it was just like, I think this is something that people like. I'm just going to continue to do it.
Yeah. Yeah. He's going to talk about the rest of the offense here. No one else gets the recognition that Chubb has got.
Stood in for him in a real solid way a year ago and continues to do those things, man. He's a home run hitter. He's a guy that's capable of breaking big runs. He broke a big run on us last year. His last year at Cincinnati, we did a lot of work on him in draft prep. I think he had more explosion runs than anybody in that draft pool. And so his big play capabilities have our attention. They got some turnover at the receiver position, but it's not lack of talent there. Judy is new to them, but he's not new to the NFL, man. He's coming off of a really big game. They acquired Moore from the Jets last year, and he's a top-notch slot receiver. There's been some strong development in Tillman on the outside, and I think his growth and development is probably the central reason why they were comfortable moving on from Cooper at the trade deadline. Watching his play and looking at his statistics, and particularly of late, you see that growth in production and the cohesion that he's gaining in terms of his professional career. We got some work to do there. And then last week was the first time they activated Tony, and they had some packages for him. You couple all of those eligibles that I mentioned with Njoku at tight end, and obviously we're highly familiar with him. He is a challenge. He does a lot of things well. His vertical game is excellent. I've been really impressed with the development of his blocking over the years, man. He has become a significant point of attack blocker. I don't think he was that when he came into the league. As a matter of fact, I think I complimented him on it post game last year. It's real. His point of attack blocking is excellent. The tight end screen game and him as an outlet to the quarterback is a dangerous one because his run after abilities are unique for the position. You can throw a tight end screen, he can turn it into a big gain. They can throw him a check down or a spot over the ball. He can bounce off some tacklers in your secondary and turn it into a big game. And so we got a lot on that side of the ball to get ready for and to be urgent about, particularly because of the lack of familiarity in some instances, particularly at the quarterback and play caller position. Some of the receivers are new, and so we got some challenges there. They got more.
So, he seems like he really respecting Njoku. Coming into the year was going to be Cooper and Watson. He thought as a 1-2 punch.
Yeah.
Neither guy are around at this point. Like you said, there's a lot of new faces. The offense, I'm not expecting a high-scoring game this week. I expect it to be a game that's similar to the game with the Ravens. What are your thoughts on their offense in general? What you took away from what Tom was saying?
Yeah, I mean, they definitely have a lot of talented players on their offense for sure. And I will say this real quick. One thing, about Mike Tomlin, he always, regardless of the team and the players, he always gives his flowers. I don't know if any other coaches do this, and I'm not too focused on other coaches, but I've noticed as we've done a lot of these press conferences with him, he definitely gives a lot of the players a lot of flowers, in the teams and coaching staff their flowers. So, that's always, good on him. But like he said, I mean, they have, a little bit of challenges with some of these very talented players that they do have on offense. Again, it's a lot of new faces. A lot of the, two of the main people, wide receiver and quarterback, aren't playing right now. One's not even on the team, and so it's definitely going to be a little bit of a challenge because it's different players. I mean, of course, it's players, a lot of them are players we've faced before, but some of them are a lot different, that we normally would see on a regular AFC North Division game, twice a year. But I think that, it's going to be a little bit of a challenge. And I kind of agree with you. I think it's going to be kind of similar to this last game with it being a division game.
Mm-hmm. I think he's going in the defense here. Let's see a little bit of talk on that, and then I want to ask you about some potential bulletin board material here.
All right.
But let's go
For continuity on the defensive side of the ball, but it doesn't mean that it's easy work. Jim Swartz last year in his first year proved his capabilities. Man, he's been at it a long time. They were tops in the league in a lot of things last year. Pass defense, yards per game, and things of that nature. They got really good continuity in staffing and in the secondary, and so we're working to manage those things. Denzel Ward is top notch, but Newsome, that whole tandem, that whole collective back there is top notch. The safety group, Delpit, Thornhill, they've all played really good ball, and as I mentioned, they were a top-tier pass defense group in the league last year, man, and they got after you. They play a lot of people. They're multiple. Delpit is very versatile, man. He plays safety. He plays big nickel. He plays dime in passing circumstances. He plays corner in some one wide out packages when you go big on offense. And so they got versatile players. The same could be said for nickel. Newsome's capable of playing inside and out. Ward is capable of playing inside and out, although I hadn't seen him inside of late. That is on his resume and in his background. The positional flexibility and versatility of those guys, coupled with the continuity, is a challenge. Obviously, up front, we got to deal with Myles Garrett, man. He's a game wrecker. You get in one-dimensional moments, man, you better be real solid there. It's not possible that he's going to impact the game. It's probable in those circumstances. We're highly familiar with that. I'd imagine the Chargers were less familiar because he took that game over a couple of weeks ago in a big way, but we know he's capable of that. We've been in stadium with him quite often, and so we got some work to do in terms of preparing ourselves to minimize him and that collective up front. They allocate a lot of resources to that group. Tomlinson is a big-time run-stopping interior guy who's also providing some top-notch interior pocket push for him. Their interior games have been eye-opening. They've gotten some pressure and gotten home some. And when they collapse the pocket in that way, they just make it easier for guys like Myles Garrett on the edge to get home as well. And so those things have our attention. The environmental component has our attention, man. Thursday night in a hostile division environment is something that we need to be ready for. We've been really fortunate in road game environments this year in terms of the support of our fans and their ability to acquire tickets, man. DC, Atlanta, Vegas, Denver, et cetera. I don't know that that's going to happen in Cleveland. I know as a collective, we better be prepared for a hostile environment, the dog pound, et cetera.
I'll end him there. That was a good point at the end, actually.
Yeah.
I know he's got his little twist to put on it, but yeah, Cleveland's going to be there. Their fans are going to be there on Thursday night, no matter the record. They're 2-8, and no matter the record, that, like he was saying, that defense is a solid defense.
Mm-hmm.
They got players all over the place. We'll get to Myles Garrett, but yeah, guys in the secondary, guys in the middle of that line. 2-8, that's on paper, but I think this is a defense that is playoff caliber, right?
Yeah, for sure. I mean, they got, like you said, a lot of talented players. Mike Tomlin named a lot of them, and past few years they definitely have improved on their defense, and it's going to be a tough division game. Playing them, especially in Cleveland on a primetime night, and so it's definitely a challenge, like you said, going into a hostile environment like Cleveland, and a division, a game, a rivalry game, two teams again that don't like each other, and it's going to be tough. They got a great defense, and it's just hope that our offense can outsmart them, come Thursday.
Yeah, as we know, Myles Garrett's a great player on the field, defensive player of the year last year, but we also know that he has a tendency to say some things or stir up some stuff. Of course, there was the whole Mason Rudolph incident that happened years ago, and the aftermath of him accusing Mason of some stuff that apparently has just gone away. No one else has ever had a problem with Mason Rudolph. Who knows? But this week, Myles Garrett had he was asked about TJ Watt complaining of not getting the defensive player of the year last year. So here's Miles
Oh
Garrett
boy.
talking.
Oh boy.
Is this bulletin board material? We'll see. Ask your opinion when it
All
ends.
right.
I've never complained about the trophy not being in my house, and vice versa. He shouldn't be feeling two ways about it going to me. So we're just gonna play the game. I don't play against TJ. He doesn't play against me, but we'll have a plan to go out and do what we're supposed to, win the game, and dominate on defense. But it's up for grabs this year, and we'll see the best man win.
Is there an extra?
So there you go. Nothing too egregious,
No,
but
no.
it's still something. It's still something to talk about. What are your thoughts on what he had to say there?
Yeah, I of course, them two don't play, against each other. They're not on the field at the same time, but they are definitely two guys on defense that play very well. I mean, Myles Garrett is a very talented defender, and of course, I just think TJ Watt's the best defensive player in the game right now. Of course, Myles Garrett has definitely had a lot of on-field antics that kind of sway my decision on how I feel about the guy. But again, I can't disrespect the guy's game. He's very talented, things like that. But for him to say that, I don't remember. Maybe T.J. Watt did complain. I don't remember that. But for him to even just come out and say that, it's just, I think it's a little silly, to be honest. But nothing crazy. Like you said.
I think it was either a tweet from him or a tweet from J.J. Watt that was going out about that. Statistically, TJ Watt, like just had him beat in every category.
Yeah.
He was playing well, and he had more. It seemed like a scenario where people just had decided at some point that Myles Garrett should win the Defensive Player of the Year, and it happened. I remember talking about that with you. Where it was like there was a stretch where it was Myles Garrett was playing better than anyone else, but he kind of like tailed off as TJ Watt went up in arms. But TJ did respond to this comment, short little 12-second clip.
Everybody in the league, obviously a guy who's been a top passer in the league for a long time, but I don't compete directly against him. It's our team versus their team. At the end of the day, I just want the Pittsburgh Steelers to come out with a win.
Anything else?
Yeah, so simple response.
Yeah.
Both of them seem to say, okay, let's see what happens now. And now we'll get to see it on Thursday night. Spread for that game is, I think, 4.5. Steelers are the favorite by 4.5. What are your thoughts? What are your predictions for the final score of the game?
Yeah, again, I
3.5 is the spread.
3.5.
So,
What's the over/under? Does it say the over/under?
It is currently, so it opened at 40.5, and it's
Wow.
down to 36.5.
Okay.
So it's gone down 4 points. So that means that a lot of people think it's going to be a low-scoring game.
Yeah, I like you had said earlier, I think that this is going to be a similar, low-scoring game to how it was with the Ravens. I don't want to say the same score, 18-16, but I think it's going to be low-scoring. I think it's going to be a lot of defense. However, I do think that the Steelers will at least score a touchdown or two in this game instead of just all field goals. With relying on Chris Boswell. But I'm going to go with a final score of 17-14 Steelers over the Browns.
Okay. Yeah, so last week I had the ridiculous number of 25. And funny enough, the Steelers could have gotten to 25 with an extra touchdown.
Yeah.
And they had a red zone interception from Russell Wilson. So just Darnell Washington would have jumped a little bit for that ball. My 25 would have came through. And I know everyone was laughing at that 25 number. So today I'm going to go with another odd number, not as odd. I'm going to go with 19 for the Steelers, 17 for the Browns as a final score.
All right.
So the Steelers will not cover that 3.5 on my eyes. You don't have it either. You think it'll be close?
Yeah.
Thursday night games are always tough when it comes to scoring. It seems like I think last week was really good though. Actually, that was a really good game. But in general, Thursday nights have been pretty tough on the two teams, and there's usually low scoring there. So yeah, I'm gonna go 19-17 Steelers. 9-2 at this point would be amazing to see.
Yeah.
And I think we'd both be pretty excited at that end outcome, right?
Yeah, for sure. I mean, it's I think at that point, I don't know where we have them if they win this game. I don't know if we have them both at 9-2, but I think that this would be just great to see them be 9-2 if they win here on Thursday. Yeah. Do you have
Uh,
any MVP of the game?
Sure. Let's go with TJ Watt. Fine. That's good.
Yeah.
So he said let the best man win. So we'll see what happens when who's the best man this week this Thursday.
Yeah, I'm gonna take Najee on offense to
Okay,
have a
cool.
good game running. I think that they're gonna get the running game back up. Of course, the Browns definitely do have a great pass defense, but I think the running is gonna be a lot better this week for the Steelers. So I'm gonna go with Najee on offense for MVP.
That's what I'm hoping for. It is a tough match with Cleveland, but yeah, I'm hoping Najee can bounce back. He had a stretch of 100-yard games. Hopefully, he can get back right into that. Before we end up, there is some Pirates news. The Pirates' big announcement of the Rookie of the Year was made. Let's look at the big reaction we got from Paul Skeens as the announcement was made.
All right.
2024 National League Jackie Robinson Rookie of the Year winner is Paul Skeens. Congratulations, Paul.
So that's what we got from Paul Skeens. Very excited.
What a humble guy.
So then he was asked followed up how he felt about the award. Here there's another clip of him. His super excitement to get the award.
to be able to have a city.
I apologize. I had comments about the city of Pittsburgh. I was going to get to first, but here's him on how he feels about winning the award.
All right,
Paul, from all of us, what does this honor mean to you right now?
This is cool.
So there we go. Paul Skeens on his award.
The excitement.
Yeah,
this is cool.
He is not a fan of talking.
Yeah,
which I'm fine with as a player. He did give about a 40-second answer about he was at the Steeler game. He was asked about what his thoughts of the Steeler game were, and then he talks about the city of Pittsburgh in general. So let's play that one there real quick. It's 40 seconds or so.
Okay.
To be able to have a city unite around people and teams, that was probably the coolest thing about going to the Steelers game yesterday. It was just like seeing that and seeing how they unite around. Because I saw it all year with how they treated us, and seeing how they treated other teams was really cool too. So that's something that I think is going to be huge in creating an identity for our team going forward, and identifying with the city that we're in, because it's an awesome city, and we owe it to them to go out there and win. So really fired up about the opportunity for next year, but this past year has been unbelievable for me, and definitely not going to take it for granted.
Yeah, you can hear the excitement in his voice.
Yeah, he's not one to talk, but this team, hopefully they can build an identity around him, and then
yeah, for sure.
On a more substantive note, though, you know how we had all that talk going into the year about what time you bring up Paul Skeens, when you would bring him up, and all that. They ended up not bringing him up till May, save themselves a year of controlling him. Except, guess what? Once you win the Rookie of the Year, you get a full year of service time. So all that bullshit that they did to keep him down is meaningless now, and they lost that year. Him winning the Rookie of the Year, they lose that extra year. And on top of that, if they would have let him play out the whole year and he still would have played well in April and May and won the Rookie of the Year, they would have gotten an extra draft pick in the draft. So their decision to hold him back is going to lead to everything that could have went wrong in that decision. As long as the only way that it works out is if they truly believed he was not ready. Everyone else seemed to think he was ready, and as soon as he came up the league, he was one of the top 5 pitchers in the league. Had one of the most historic seasons in the history for a rookie. I think it was been over 100 years since a guy had as many starts in an ERA of 1.96. As a rookie, and he's also up for the Cy Young. He's in the top 3 for the Cy Young. It's likely he will win that. But he's had an incredible year, a season that, like, as Pirate fans, you don't get to see a lot of. They got him for $700,000 the next 2 years. They need to put money somewhere else. as they got this ace pitcher. An ace like him on the open
Yeah.
market would get $40 million a year. right
Yeah.
now.
Yeah,
So,
he's
it's
such a
interesting.
talented. He's such a
Uh-huh.
talented player, and it's just amazing to see him, get the Rookie of the Year. That's awesome. Let me ask you real quick.
Yep.
What was better, his response to what they asked him, or Mike Tomlin's thumbs up? Which one's better?
I don't know, man. We got both of them here for it. What do we want? I can. Do we give Tom the credit for finding the camera and doing?
I think so, because I don't think he knew it was there at first. I think
Yeah.
it was the whole looking over. I think is when he found it. Yeah.
Yeah, because Tomlin, I think, wanted the attention, and Skeens is the exact opposite. Here he is.
Yeah.
I'll pull him back up.
Right now.
This is cool.
So I guess it's what you're into. Are you more into the showman or the guy who doesn't want any part of it? It's up to you. I guess. The beholder. But yeah, we'll have to keep that clip around.
Yeah, for sure.
Every once in a while.
Yeah, for sure. That's great.
But yeah, Lee, I got nothing else for you. If you're all good,
I'm
I'll
all
see
good.
ya.
I can't
See
wait
ya
for Thursday
Thursday.
night. Steelers versus Browns.
Yep, I'll see you.
See ya.